So I chose Beastcub mostly because she did more than just 2 faces. Canine for every sort of canine, foxes, domestic dogs, wolves, anything that looks like it can have a canine head, and a feline head that looked just like the canine head but a shorter muzzle. And all of these look the same. Yeah, no, not what I wanted. Set's face has a very odd shape, so I was looking for someone who did more than just one dog face and one cat face. Now, I had known of Beastcub before from her Isabel the Unicorn quad suit and had loved her work. She does these amazing horses, and now I'm very picky about horse anatomy because I used to own horses, but she also does like deer and moose, and it's just this very well-rounded maker. I was very impressed with her horses and deer, and hoped that it would help her with Set's head shape. Honestly, I had no backup maker for Set. If I didn't get the spot, I would have honestly just waited another year to try again. She was his maker, and I would have waited however long until she had accepted me. Luckily, I did get accepted the first time I tried to commission her. She matched my reference sheet very well, and even asked more questions through email about his face, what sort of animals she could reference, and even asked a few questions I hadn't really thought of before about my character. She made his markings look like paint, which is what I wanted. My character doesn't actually have markings. He has one stripe across his nose that he covers with paint, and then he paints the rest of the markings on his face. Now, one of the markings she actually did do slightly wrong, but because of this reason, I didn't find it important enough to point it out to her so she could fix it. So I never actually mentioned it to her, and I don't even think she knows that she did it wrong unless if she watches this video. About communication, it is shown on her website that she does not really communicate very often with commissioners she's not currently working on. She focuses her attention on whoever she's working on at the time. But I believe the longest we went without communication was maybe about a month. But then again, I did have full payment, I believe within that first month after her commissions closed, and my suit was only a head and a tail, not even like a usual partial. So that could have been mostly just me higher on the list, since she does go by whoever pays fully first gets done first. But the workmanship on this suit is amazing. So far, I've only really had one issue, and that's that there's this foam piece that sits above the hat that's inside the head that's glued to the hat, but the glue had ripped off, so the part of the hat is kind of loose, but not the part that actually holds the head up. It was just, I don't know what it was for, and it doesn't actually seem to affect how it sits on my head or the stability of the head, so I think it's a very minor break. On the plus side, I can now put stuff in his muzzle. If you watch my unboxing, you'll notice how I thought something was broken. It wasn't. This is really my only real complaint about the workmanship, and it's more of just aesthetic reasons. It's just because it's not the same for both ears. Just let me have this perfectionist moment. I have to nitpick at this review. His ears are removable, by my request, which she did a great job trying to do, since she said that she had never done removable ears before. So the base of his ears have these wooden doils that insert into the head, and it is also lined with a handful of magnets. On one ear, the magnet is covered with the fabric, and the magnet on the head is not covered, but with the fur you can't really tell. But on the other ear, the magnet is visible, and the magnet on the head is covered with fabric. I don't know why it's flipped like that, and to be honest, it doesn't really matter. You can't even see the magnets when the ears are on, and they're both sturdy, so it doesn't actually matter, but it's a little nitpick I have. I kind of want to know why it was done in reverse. The fur on his neck I do wish was a little longer, though I don't actually think that's her fault. I kind of feel like I have a longer neck than normal or something, which I didn't really even notice until this, but his fur doesn't tuck inside of clothing like t-shirts like I wish it could. Now onto his eyes. His eyes had this bad reaction to the glue that she had used on them. They fogged up really badly. One of them cleared 100%, but the other one left a dark part of the eye and somehow got a scratch. She did offer to replace them, but warned me that they might not look as good since she would have to rip off the old eyes in order to do that, and she sent me pictures of the dark part and where the scratch was, which, to be honest, I couldn't really even tell in the picture, and you can't really even see in person. It's more like you can feel it if you're touching his eye. So it was a very minor thing. The dark part, I could barely see it in picture and pretty much can't even see it in person. And it honestly just looks like a normal shadow, so I told her it was fine to keep them the way they were. Now, she was amazingly patient with me. I was very, 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 very picky about the color of Furfur's pelt. And I think we went through probably about a good 20 furs before we decided on the one that he ended up with. And that for me was a bit of settling. She was just so patient and didn't show any annoyance with me constantly saying no to the furs, and we ended up on using a fur that she had actually found in her stock. And we actually ended up on using 2 different kinds of fur for his main pelt to make sure she had enough. The short fur on his face and ears is actually uncut and just a shorter pile, and I think it turned out great. Now, originally I did not want neck vision, even though it does fit with his anatomy more than something like tear duct vision would, the way I draw him. I had considered it for this reason, but I just wanted to have a moving jaw, honestly, even with his weird facial shape. But she ended up on convincing me otherwise. And while I am very happy with it being neck vision, I do have a downside. I am very tall. I'm almost 6 foot, and with set, it adds about, if I had to guess, 2.5 feet on top of that. So I can't walk through doorways. I am very surprised I haven't broken off his ears yet. They're about 20 inches just in themselves. I literally have to try to grab the top of his ears, which I can't even touch without bending my head one way or the other, and try to maneuver his head through the doorway to try to make sure I don't smack the ears off his head. But this is not her fault. This is just me. This is just, if you're going to do neck vision from Beastcub and you're tall, keep this in mind. Now, I wish I could give her a 10 out of 10, and I would totally give her a 100% score. Everything, even with the minor hiccups and bumps that weren't even her fault, turned out amazing, exceeded my expectations. Except there was one thing that was undeniably her fault. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't blame her for it, and for me, it's bygones be bygones. I didn't really care that much. I wasn't sure I was going to use it, and I really just wanted the option of having it since I had the extra money. Set was originally commissioned with LED eyes. Now, towards the end of her work on set, I was asking her, just random questions like upkeep, brushing, if I could brush his markings because of the paint, how to clean him, if I needed a balaclava, that sort of thing. And then I asked her, where the battery packs for the fan and the eyes would be, which kind of made her freak out. I don't know if she just forgot to write it down or make a note of it or to even read it in my quote. I don't know what happened, but it didn't get put in. So she explained to me why it would be very unreasonable to try to fix it, since he was already furred and he was pretty much 100% done. I believe the only thing we were really waiting on was she was looking for earrings for him. Now, she offered me a full refund on the LED eyes and free shipping and went out of her way to try to make it up for me. Now, I was overly happy with her work, and not just because I was a huge fan of her work in general, or because this was my character that she brought to life. I thought she had done an amazing job for a build that I think every time she worked on it, something went wrong. She told me that she had completely scrapped her original build of his face in order to remake it, which is something she never does. She did 3 full days of just working on trying to get his head shape right. 5 different frames for the ears. She had never used fur as short as he had before, nor had she ever used microfleece for the ears before. She had never made ears or tail so skinny and had never made removable ears before. I'm difficult. So anyways, I told her to just put the money towards shipping and, bygones be bygones, whatever. To me, it was a minor thing. And she was like, even if the LED eye cost doesn't cover the shipping, I'll pay for the rest of it. Don't worry about it. You're good. Which was very nice of her. So, Because of all of this, I am left with a score of 9 out of 10. Because even with the little minor hiccups and this little mishap, she sent me tons and tons of pictures to make sure every single choice that she made would be okay. She went out of her way to try to make things up to me when something went wrong, even ended up on making set a necklace, dealt with me being very picky, and did everything in such a professional but very friendly manner. Like, she was just like the nicest person I had ever talked to in this sort of commission. So I am definitely going to try to commission her again someday. And I do fully expect her to see my email and go, no, not again.